organization, if you're representing one, and anything else you would like to share. So I'll start. My name is Natalia Kuzina. I'm Deputy Director for the Department of Elections. And in my role, I support our outreach efforts by developing programs, outreach strategies, and materials, as well as participate in the department's meeting language access requirements. Again, by promoting our language access programs through various strategies. That's just some of the projects for which I'm responsible while working in the Department of Elections. I will now turn it over to Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Natalia. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anne-Marie Mabbitt. I'm the Outreach and Community Engagement Lead Coordinator for the Department of Elections. In my role, I schedule and conduct outreach events, help to draft informational materials, and work to maintain and expand our outreach partnership network. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Adriana.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see so many familiar faces, and welcome to any new faces. I am a bilingual outreach coordinator, as well as language access support in Spanish. So I work with a lot of organizations such as yourself to help promote and execute different events such as tablings, presentations, etc., in bilingual access, and then also translating materials for the department for upcoming elections, and just materials informational for all of our constituents in the city. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Max.
Thank you, Adriana. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Max Chang. I'm a graphic designer and the Chinese-English bilingual outreach coordinator for the department. In my role, I help develop outreach materials and conduct community events to share election information with the community, especially for our Chinese-speaking community. Now I will hand it over to Edgar.
Hi, everyone. My name is Edgar, and I am the Video and Graphics Coordinator for the Outreach Division. In my role, I help produce videos, presentations, flyers, and other collateral for the department. I am also a bilingual speaker in Spanish and assist wherever needed, whether that's an outreach event where Spanish is primarily spoken, or assisting with like the front desk if they have a Spanish speaker come up. And I'll pass it off to Kat.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine Lee. I'm the Publication and Language Access Manager. In my role, I help overseas election materials like the voter information pamphlet and ballot. I lead our publication teams and coordinate translations and language surveys. I am bilingual in English and Chinese, which help me connect with the diverse community and serve as a media contact for Chinese language outlet. I also work with our IT team to make sure our online tools are reliable, accessible, and easy to use. And that's it, my role. And may I pass it to our Vietnamese translator and outreach coordinator.
Oh, hello everyone. My name is Giang Tăng. I'm a new hire with Department of Elections. My job is to help the Division of Publication to translate election materials from English into Vietnamese, and I also help the outreach event team with the outreach community. Thank you. I'm gonna pass to
Norma.
Yeah, Norma.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Norma Agustin. I work as the HR analyst for the Department of Elections. I do also assist the language access support team by providing translations and proofreading services in Filipino. I also respond to voter questions over the phone, by email, or in person in Filipino. And I see Mayank in the meeting, passing it along to him. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Patel, Deputy Director, primarily overseeing operations and finance. I am also bilingual in Hindi and look forward to supporting the department with any needs going forward. Passing it up back to you, Natalia.
Yes, thank you, Mayank. All right, so that's our team who's attending today's meeting. and let's meet our community partners. So who would like to start first? Perhaps our representative from OSEA would go
Yes,
next, part of our city
absolutely.
family.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Ana De Carolis. I am the Language Access and Policy Manager for the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs, OSEA, part of the City Administrator's Office. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, passing on to the next attendee.
Hi all, this is Sandy from Chinatown Community Development Center. I am from the community organizing team, and I will pass it to Anthony from CAA.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Anthony. I'm from Chinese for Affirmative Action. I am a civic engagement community advocate. Usually, I think my supervisor attends these meetings, but I'm stepping in today. But for the folks who don't know, we're part of IPVC and also the Language Access Network. Thank you. I'll pass it to Anna Flores.
Hello, everyone. I'm just here as a member of the community watching the meeting. I work for the city attorney's office.
Right. All right. So who hasn't hasn't had a chance to introduce themselves yet?
Me, Sarah.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sarah Shang. I'm the new CEO for SF Shanghai Association. Our former CEO, President Hazel Lee, is retiring, so I'm taking over her baton, and I look forward to working with you guys.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you here, and thank you for joining our LAAC group. All right. I think that we're done with introductions. So
Except
now
for me.
Apologies.
My name is Tom Sleckman. I'm with the San Francisco Republican Assembly, and I'm very interested in the way our elections are conducted. I like to know that they are, well, fair, free, and legitimate. Thanks.
All right. Welcome, Tom. All right. So that concludes introduction.
I
So
think
now we
that's
can.
Dora. Dora also
Oh
as
my
well.
goodness. Why am I not seeing that in these? Okay. So I have to fix my screen. Okay. Sorry, guys. Go ahead, Dora.
Hi, my name is Dora. I work for the Southeast Asian Community Center. My role in the company is accountant and admin assistant. I attend the meeting today for my boss, Diana. She is traveling overseas right now. Hi to meet you all.
Welcome. Okay. Are we done with introductions or not yet? We are done. Okay. I see a lot of nodding heads. All right. So we can move on to agenda for today's meeting then. All right. So here on the screen is our agenda. And in today's meeting, we'll share updates on the expansion of language assistance resulting from the updated Secretary of State determinations issued last year. We'll discuss our latest efforts in incorporating Vietnamese into election services and programs. And we are doing it in anticipation of Vietnamese being certified as a required city language this year. We'll also provide an overview of preparations for the 2026 elections, including non-citizen registration and voting in Board of Education elections that we will be administering in both 2026 elections. We'll also discuss employment and volunteer opportunities for the upcoming election cycle. And we'll close this meeting with discussions on ways to strengthen the voter registration efforts in limited English proficiency communities, and also ways to increase awareness of translated election materials, particularly in the newly added languages. So under this agenda, under this first agenda item, I'd like to share with you guys an update on our work to implement the state's new language assistance requirements. And first, some background. So as some of you may know already, in late December of last year, the California Secretary of State's office issued updated language determinations as required under state law. These determinations are based on the latest census data as well as voter data gathered in the registration database. So these determinations identify precincts where at least 3% of voting age residents may need assistance with voting. So based on these updated, newly released determinations, San Francisco is now required to provide translated facsimile ballots in 5 additional languages. And these languages are Bengali, Hindi, Hmong, Mongolian, and Urdu. And you can see these languages displayed here on the screen. So these 5 additional languages are in addition to the 4 languages in which we've already been providing translated facsimile ballots for quite some time. Those languages are Burmese, Japanese, Korean, and Thai. So what it means is that now San Francisco will provide translated facsimile ballots in 9 languages. And just as a quick reminder, facsimile ballots are reference ballots that voters may use as a reference when they're marking their official ballots. So essentially, it's a tool for voters that we provide. So in addition to providing facsimile ballots, these new language determinations require us to make a good faith effort in recruiting bilingual poll workers who speak those languages and assign them to identified polling locations based on the data provided by the Secretary of State. And of course, in addition to these state language requirements, we'll continue to provide translated official ballots and materials in Chinese and Spanish as required under the Federal Voting Rights Act, and in Filipino under the city's language access ordinance. And starting with the June election, we will also provide official ballots and voter information pamphlet in Vietnamese ahead of anticipated certification of Vietnamese as a required city language. We'll share with you all a little bit more about our Vietnamese implementation efforts under the next agenda item. But let's go to the next slide, and where I can discuss some additional strategies that we will be implementing to inform voters about the assistance and translated materials in these newly added languages. So specifically, this month, in the next couple of weeks, right, we'll send 2 targeted mailers. So the first mailer will be sent to voters born in countries where Bengali, Burmese, Hindi, Hmong, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian, Thai, and Urdu are spoken. This mailer will inform those voters of their option to request facsimile ballots. And voters have various ways to receive these facsimile ballots, right? So they can request to receive them by mail, by email, or they can request them at polling places if they choose to vote in person on election day, or at our City Hall voting center. And one thing worth mentioning is that although state law requires facsimile ballots to be provided only in specified precincts in the city, our department exceeds this requirement by extending this option to all voters and by providing copies at all polling places on election day, rather than only at designated locations. So that's going to be the first mailer. And the second mailer will be sent to voters born in Vietnam, informing them of the option to receive official ballots and voter information pamphlet in Vietnamese for future elections, starting with the upcoming June election. So both of these mailers, although the content of these mailers varies slightly based on the recipients of this mailer, both of these mailers will provide instructions to voters on how to submit requests for translated materials to our department, whether it's a facsimile ballot, whether it's the official ballot, or whatnot. So these requests, when we receive them, will be processed by our staff in the voter registration database, and we'll use this information for future distribution of election materials, starting with the June 2026 election. We previously conducted similar mailers to expand the pool of voters who receive translated election materials in the city. And these mailers have proven to be very successful, reaching sizable number of registrants and allowing them to essentially add language preference to their voter records and receive translated materials in our local elections. So as all of you can see, we are taking a proactive approach to informing voters about their language assistance options and making it as easy for them as possible to request translated election materials far in advance of the upcoming election. And of course, in addition to all these efforts, we greatly rely on our community partners, including all of you here today, to help share this information with your communities. And again, I thank you all in advance to help us spread the word. And you'll hear more from us as to with some suggested ways on how you can partner with our department to distribute this information in your events and in your outreach efforts, specifically for this upcoming election. So that's everything that I wanted to share under this agenda item. Do you guys have any questions before we move on to the second item on the agenda? Okay, I don't see any questions. Is there anything in the chat? No,
I don't see questions in the chat.
Okay, all right. So again, we are excited to incorporate all these newly added languages in our services and programs. And we are certainly looking forward to partnering with all of you to help us spread the word about this expanded language assistance and translated election materials. So stay tuned, and we'll be in touch very soon, like I said, with some proposed strategies for partnering with us. So since there are no more questions on this agenda item, I will turn it over to Kat, who will share some information about our recent efforts to implement Vietnamese into our election programs and services. Very excited to hear from Kat. Take it away, Kat.
Thank you, Natalia. I'm pleased to share an update on the implementation of Vietnamese in our election service in anticipation of its designation as a required city language in 2026. As mentioned by Natalia, we choose to move forward proactively. And since last fall, we have been working closely with professional translator and with our IT team to prepare our system, printed materials, and online tools to fully support Vietnamese speaking voters in 2026. So our online tools. As a key part of this effort has been strengthening our online tools to provide direct and accessible service. In recent months, we have been making significant progress in building a robust digital foundation with the voter portal as the main focus of this work. This portal has been carefully developed and tested to function seamlessly in Vietnamese. Because the system responds to voter actions in real time, we have to take extra care to ensure all the data and notification like alert about ballot issues are correctly generated and displayed. And in addition to this voter portal, our standalone language preference tools now support 13 languages, including, I repeat again, Chinese, Spanish, Filipino, Vietnamese, Bengali, Burmese, Hindi, Hmong, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian, Thai, and Urdu.
Gosh, it's getting harder and harder to keep track of all these languages, right?
Yes,
when we
it's
have
growing.
when we have to speak about them and in which languages we provide assistance. I'm having a hard time of keeping them all.
Yes. So with just a few clicks, voter can update their language preference and request materials in their language, making it easier for more community members to access important information and feel confident when casting their vote. So to see these tools in actions, I would like to invite you to join our live demo, try the voter portal and language preference tools on your computer or mobile device. Let's go. This is a great chance to experience firsthand how they support voter across the city. Even if you don't speak Vietnamese, you can view the English and Vietnamese version side by side to see how the translation, notification, and interaction feature and interactive feature functions in both language. So this slide shows the welcome page of the English voter portal. Okay, let's open the voter portal as SF elections.gov/voter portal and click on the, let's click on the Vietnamese tab first. So the first one. So you see this is the welcome page of the Vietnamese portal. And so can we show the slide? We share the welcome screen side by side. Okay, so you can see the voter portal in English and you can see the voter portal in Vietnamese. They are identical and they are simple and easy to use, this UI. Okay. For demo purpose, we are going to use the English voter portal. Yeah. So let's log in to the voter portal. Enter your house number, zip code, and date of birth, and then click submit. Now, let's check out the side panel. And would anyone like to volunteer to read the functions for us? Anyone? Maybe Max, can you help?
Let me see. It's just like little tiny on my screen.
Let's do opt out of an online voter information pamphlet.
So let's see all the functions here. So this is the opt-out for the paper voter information pamphlet and opt-in for the online voter information pamphlet. So there are other functions like when you log into the voter portal, you can review your voter record, request a replacement ballot, go paperless by opting in for digital voter pamphlet, check your ballot, find your polling place, view your sample ballot, find your voting district, and submit your language preference.
Yep. So some of these tabs are election specific, right? They're more relevant to voters during election cycle. And some of these tabs are sort of evergreen and could be used year round. So the tabs that are election specific are requesting a replacement ballot, for instance, right?
Yeah.
During an election cycle, or tracking my ballot from the time that the department mails a voter their ballot to the time when the department receives and counts that voter's ballot. Finding my polling place, it's also an election specific tab, right? And it's designed for those voters who prefer to vote in person on election day. View my sample ballot. Again, like that's an election specific tab where voters can view their sample ballot online in addition to receiving their sample ballot via their voter information pamphlet. But the other tabs in this voter portal, they're year round and evergreen. So anytime a voter can opt out of receiving their voter information pamphlet by mail and instead view their pamphlet online. And when the voter does that or chooses that option, the department sends them a link to their voter information pamphlet or a postcard that reminds them how to access the voter information pamphlet. Find my voting districts. It's one of those non-election specific tabs that registrants may use to find their voting districts and their elected representatives associated with each voting district, and submit my language preference. So this is the tool that's going to be referenced in those two mailers, in those two upcoming mailers that I talked about in my agenda items. So this is where voters, recipients of those mailers, will be directed to submit their preference, their language preference to the department. So as Kat mentioned, this voter portal is available in several languages. And this information is also going to be translated in all these languages that you're seeing on the screen, however many languages they are. So when people receive the mailer, they'll go into this tool and they'll be able to select the language in which they want to submit that information to us.
Yes, next.
So that's kind of like the gist of the voter portal. But it's a great centralized tool for all voters to be aware of during election cycle and during non-election cycle. And on the first tab, review my voter record, this is where people can check whether they registered to vote in the city and whether their registration is still current.
Yeah.
So again, as you're conducting your outreach efforts, certainly mention this voter portal as it is a very helpful resource for local voters.
Yeah. Next, I want to show you the slide with a side-by-side screenshot of how these two portals look like. The next one. So you can see from this slide, yeah, as a comparison of the English and the Vietnamese portal, you can see they are identical. The Vietnamese translation mirror the source text exactly. And for voter, this means you can navigate the portal confidently on your own, and you don't need to rely on a family member or friends to check your information or translate it. You have full control over your voter record and your privacy, and you can access the accurate election information in the language you understand best. And some of the features, as Natalia mentions, won't become active until closer to the elections, around 50 days out. And by the time voter can track the journey of their ballot from printing and packaging to the final count, and then they can also access digital versions of the voter pamphlet and sample ballot and view the polling place details and use the portal in their preferred language. And for added support, if a voter make a mistake when marking their ballot, they can also request a replacement directly through the portal. And similarly, if the return ballot has a signature issues, and the department will notify the voter so they can rectify the issues, and voter can respond through the portal, provide a signature, and ensure their ballot is counted. And currently, yes, the portal is displaying pre-election message, reminding voter that the next citywide election is the June 2nd, 2026 statewide direct primary elections, and ballot for this election will be mailed out to all local voters during the first week of May. But we now are in the pre-election month with 103 days until the June elections. Since every registered voter will receive a ballot by mail, the best thing voter can do right now is to log into the portal and confirm all the information is correct. Check your registration status, update your address and language preference if needed, and make sure you are ready to vote. So let's get back to how to request translated materials. Go to the Submit My Language Preference tab. So you can update your language preference at any time. So let me repeat, if you select Chinese, Spanish, Filipino, or Vietnamese, you will receive a bilingual ballot, the English voter information pamphlet and sample ballot, and a translated versions of your voter information pamphlet in your chosen language. And for voters who select the other 9 language, they can request a facsimile of their ballot to be sent by mail or email. So you may notice that when you select one of the 9 language in the portal, a message appears letting voter know about the language preference tools for requesting translated materials. This specifically guide voter who speak those language directly to the resource they need and make it easier to access elections materials in their preferred language. And next, let's see how these language preference tools work. Let's go to sfelections.gov/language. Okay, this is how it's look like. Yeah. And from the select language, can you go to Norma? Can you go to the live portal, live tools? So when you select language, click the select language button, there is a drop-down box. So from this drop-down box, you can pick the language you want. For example, you pick Vietnamese, the fifth one, and you see everything's changed into Vietnamese. When you enter your house number, zip code, and date of birth and click submit, and then you can go to the next page, the system may ask you to validate. You are not a robot, but don't worry. Yeah, there will be full instruction and support provided in all this language, including the reCAPTCHA. It's all in language. And in this slide, it will show you, yeah, this Vietnamese portal, when you have to validate, you are not a robot. Yeah, so you have instructions to pick the image in Vietnamese. Okay, so when you successfully log in, then you can pick the language. So once your request is submitted, our voter record team will update your record, and so you will receive the election materials in the language you need. So these two are simple and mobile friendly, and yeah, and makes accessing translated material quick and straightforward. So in the past few weeks, we also released the Vietnamese versions of key forms that are essentials for smooth voter interactions. These include the department contact form. Yeah, the UI is pretty simple. Yes, it's straightforward. And this form is for voter to contact us for voter assistance and inquiries. And the third-party notification form, this form is for voter to report voter who no longer live in a specific address. And the third one is the deceased voter notification form, and this will help us to maintain the accurate voter rolls. So let's look ahead for the upcoming update. In the next few weeks, we are rolling out two major improvements. The first one is the online voter registration update application. This will optimize for mobile device and enhance with better data validations. Voter can update the information on the go. Any change that require a signature, like updating a residential address or cancellation registrations, will need to print the PDF out and sign and return to us. And together, the new paper registration update form will be available in English, Chinese, Filipino, Spanish, and Vietnamese. Ensure instructions are clear for all voters, whether they use the digital tools or the paper form. And second, we will launch the non-citizen voter information portal with full Vietnamese support, providing guidance for eligible non-citizen voter in the upcoming Board of Education's elections. Once registered, eligible non-citizen voters can access to the portal, and we will cover non-citizen voting in more detail, including where to access the registration form in the next sections. And we are also moving away from machine-assisted translations. Our in-house Vietnamese language team will handle most Vietnamese website content, ensuring translations are accurate and culturally relevant and easy to understand. Our goal is to provide a user-friendly experience that reflects the needs and values of the Vietnamese-speaking community. So technology is only one part of the equations, and personal support is equally important. We have a bilingual outreach coordinator, and we introduced her in this meeting, Jiang, who worked directly with Vietnamese-speaking residents to build trust and to provide support. And during elections, voters can also call the direct Vietnamese language line at 415-558-6105. This is a new phone number for immediate help, and this reducing wait time and eliminating the need for third-party interpreter. So we are committed to ensuring all residents can participate in elections no matter what language they speak. And currently, this is our registration data. The city has about 530,000 registered voters, and 1,850 of them have indicating Vietnamese as their preferred language. We expect that number of voters requesting translated material to grow as they receive our mailers, and with you, our community partners, sharing this information, even more voters will know they can access election materials in their preferred language. And that's conclude our update. Are there any questions before we proceed to the next agenda item? If no questions, I will now turn it over to Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Kat and Natalia. Now we will, actually, next slide. Thank you. We're going to briefly review non-citizen voting in the June 2nd, 2026 school board election, including registration eligibility requirements, how to register, outreach efforts to promote awareness of the right of eligible non-citizens to participate in the June 2nd school board election, voting options, and accessible resources. Next slide, please. Thank you. To be eligible to vote in the June 2nd, 2026 school board elections, non-citizens must be a resident of San Francisco and not planning to move before Election Day, at least 18 years old on Election Day, a parent, legal guardian, or designated caregiver of a child who lives in San Francisco and will be under 19 years of age on Election Day, not serving a state or federal prison term for the conviction of a felony, and not found mentally incompetent to vote by a court. Thank you. Local law requires non-citizens to re-register for each school board election in which they would like to participate. Non-citizens must use a non-citizen voter registration form to register to vote in local school board elections. Non-citizens cannot use a standard voter registration form since it requires an affirmation of citizenship. The June 2nd, 2026 non-citizen voter registration form is available in 50 languages at sfelections.gov/NCV. Paper NCV registration forms are also available in our office at room 48 in City Hall. After registering to vote in the June 2nd school board election, the department will mail a voter notification letter to all non-citizen registrants to confirm the processing of their voter registration. I believe that's on the next slide. Okay, thank you. No. As we mentioned earlier in the presentation, non-citizen voters may also check their registration information using the non-citizen voter information portal at sfelections.gov/NCV portal. To raise awareness of the right of eligible non-citizens to register and vote in the June 2nd school board election, the department's multilingual outreach team will be collaborating closely with our network of government agencies and nonprofit partners serving residents who speak a primary language other than English. We will be sharing printed and audiovisual educational resources with these community partners, including the organizations represented today, who will in turn share this information with the immigrant populations they serve. As trusted, reliable sources of information for non-English speaking residents, these community-based partners will be essential to the success of our non-citizen voting outreach for the June 2nd, 2026 school board election. Our multilingual outreach team will also be conducting non-citizen voting educational presentations at residential facilities and community centers and hosting voter resource tables at cultural festivals, neighborhood meetings, food banks, job fairs, and other community events. At these events, our outreach team will share information on language access resources, distribute multilingual informational materials, explain non-citizen voter eligibility requirements, and assist with non-citizen voter registrations. The department will also be sharing information on non-citizen voting in the June 2nd, 2026 school board election via a series of public service announcements on local television and radio stations. And of course, if you have any suggestions for general strategies or specific events that we could outreach to the communities who prefer to speak a language other than English, please feel free to reach out to us. We are really counting on you to help us with these efforts and appreciate any suggestions or feedback you have. Now I'm going to turn it over to Adriana to provide more insight into our non-citizen voting outreach efforts. Adriana has been working closely with our outreach partners serving Spanish-speaking populations to promote awareness of non-citizen voting in the June 2026 school board election. Thank you, Adriana.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. And thanks everyone again. One of the things I had a really great opportunity to work on the last school board election that we had, which was back in 2024. And being on the ground and working with organizations such as yourself, one of the things that we've realized, especially for myself, working with the Hispanic and Spanish speaking community, there's a lot of education that still needs to be had to make sure that people understand their rights, especially obviously parents that are non-citizens that live here in San Francisco and have children. And one of the things that we found so vital is obviously the partnership that we have with organizations such as yourselves to be able to use your relationship and your connection with your communities and that trust that you've already built so that they understand that this is information that is reliable and trustworthy, and also just to be able to give us an opportunity to connect with them one-on-one and to be able to really share the details and information on what NCV elections are all about, what their rights are, and how they go about doing it. So being able to have that one-on-one connection with them is hugely important. It's very vital, and it is the best way for us to be able to relay that information. So again, continuing to partner with you and for you to help us identify those opportunities to make sure that we give you the information that you need to also help pass on that information for us. But I think that any opportunities that come up where we can have those one-on-one conversations with them, where we can conduct presentations, where we are able to go in detail the information that they need to have to be able to be well informed to make the decision if they want to register to vote in this election or not. Also to be aware of their eligibility. But again, we just really want to emphasize how important and vital and how much we appreciate the partnerships, but also to continue to work with you and making sure that we give you the information that you need, and also identify opportunities where we can continue to have that real personal one-on-one communication with your communities. So thank you, and hopefully we can continue this for this upcoming June election, and also obviously preparation for November as well. So with that, I'll hand it back to Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay, and the final slide, please. Thank you. In early May, the department will send a vote by mail ballot packet and a voter information booklet to all registered non-citizen voters. Non-citizen voters enjoy the same voting options as citizen voters. Non-citizen voters may choose to vote by mail, in person at the City Hall voting center or at a polling place, or by using the accessible vote by mail system. Non-citizen voters may also authorize someone to pick up their ballot or request emergency ballot delivery. For more information about non-citizen voter registration or non-citizen voting in the June 2nd, 2026 school board election, or to request outreach assistance, visit sfelections.gov/NCV, email us at sfoutreach@sfgov.org, or feel free to call us at 415-554-4375. Now, if there are any questions about non-citizen registration or voter outreach, I'd be happy to address them. Any questions? Norma, anything in the chat?
I don't see questions in the chat.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you. If there are no questions, I will now turn it over to Norma, who will be sharing information on poll worker and seasonal job opportunities for the upcoming 2026 elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. As we prepare for the 2026 elections, we're inviting poll workers and temporary election staff to join our team to help ensure a positive voting experience for voters across the city. Our recruitment efforts are designed to ensure voters receive assistance in their preferred language and through accessible, inclusive services. Today, I'll briefly highlight upcoming employment and volunteer opportunities and how these roles directly support language access and accessibility at polling places and election operations. for the 2026 elections. We anticipate recruiting approximately 2,500 poll workers across the city to ensure every polling location is fully staffed and equipped to serve voters efficiently and professionally. Recruiting a diverse and well-trained workforce is critical to maintaining smooth operations on election day and ensuring that every voter has access to a fair, secure, and welcoming voting experience. From an accessibility standpoint, all poll workers receive a comprehensive training to support voters with disabilities and language access needs. This includes instruction on operating accessible voting equipment, providing curbside voting when required, communicating respectfully with voters who have mobility, visual, hearing, or cognitive disabilities, and ensuring polling places remain compliant with accessibility standards. Poll workers are trained to provide patient, inclusive, and nonpartisan assistance so that every voter can cast their ballot independently. Bilingual poll workers play a particularly important role in serving communities with diverse language needs. They assist voters by explaining ballots, signage, and voting procedures in the voter's preferred language, helping increase confidence in the voting process. By offering language assistance, bilingual poll workers help ensure equitable access to the ballot and strengthen civic participation across all communities. In recognition of their service and commitment, poll workers earn between $225 and $295 for election day service, depending on their assignment and responsibilities. If you or someone you know in the community are interested in serving as a poll worker in the 2026 elections, we encourage you to complete a poll worker interest form. And you can find the link here on the slide, which we will be sharing after this meeting, or you can also visit our website and check our poll worker page. For questions about poll worker service, please contact our poll worker team at 415-554-4395. And again, the poll worker service webpage on our website.
Max, could you please drop a link to the poll worker application into the chat?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max. And then so that's for our volunteer opportunities. We also offer paid seasonal employment opportunities to support the successful administration of the June 2026 election. We anticipate hiring dozens of temporary employees to assist before, during, and after Election Day. These positions span a wide range of operational areas, including voter records clerks, logic and accuracy testers, warehouse support staff, Election Day operations staff such as poll locators, poll worker dispatch, and ballot retrieval teams, field election deputies, bilingual translators and proofreaders, bilingual voter support phone operators. Each role plays an important part in ensuring that election materials are accurate, equipment functions properly, polling places are fully supported, and voters receive timely assistance. Among these roles, language access positions are especially critical to ensuring equitable voter participation across the city's diverse communities. We have bilingual translators and proofreaders who are responsible for translating ballots, voter information guides, signages, and outreach materials to ensure they are clear and accurate. Bilingual voter support phone operators provide in-language assistance to voters seeking information about registration, vote by mail options, polling locations, and voting procedures, helping eliminate language barriers before and during the election. On and around Election Day, multilingual staff may also support field and polling place operations to assist voters who need help navigating ballots or understanding voting procedures. By recruiting employees with strong multilingual skills and cultural competency, the department reinforces its commitment to inclusive service and ensures that voters with limited English proficiency can participate confidently and independently in the process. To learn more about our current openings and how to apply, please visit the Department of Elections Employment and Volunteer Opportunities webpage. When you visit this page, you'll also see that you have the option to sign up for job alerts. That way, you get a notification each time we open a position. So again, our community partners are very helpful in sharing this information with the members of the community. So please feel free to share this information with them. And yeah, so with that, I'm now open for any questions about our volunteer and employment opportunities. Any questions? I also don't see any questions in the chat, but again, thank you, Max, for sharing those links in the chat. So feel free to share those links with everyone who you think would benefit from our volunteer employment opportunities. Okay, no questions. I'll now turn it over to Adriana. Thank you.
Thanks, Norma. All right, everyone. If you've been here before in these meetings, you know that we are getting into the portion where we're going to hear from you. So we're going to open it up to discussion. And some of the things that we want to really focus on are as follows. So let's get ready to hear from you now. You've heard a lot from us. Now it's your turn to give us your thoughts. So for this first discussion, we'd like to focus on voter registration and how we can continue to improve access and participation, particularly for voters with limited English proficiency. Our goal is to better understand what barriers LEP voters may be experiencing when registering and how to identify opportunities to strengthen our outreach, materials, and support services. Now, to frame this discussion, we'd like to hear your perspective on a few key areas. So here they are. Are LEP voters aware of their registration options? Are there gaps in language access at key points in the process? What outreach strategies have been most effective in your communities? Where do voters tend to get their information about registration? How can we better partner with community organizations to expand our reach? We're also interested in hearing about any challenges that you're seeing on the ground when you're registering people to vote, whether related to technology, trust, language access, or misinformation. Any best practices that have worked well in your communities, we'd love to hear that. So this is, again, the opportunity for us to open up the discussion and to get your feedback, because this will inform how we plan for future outreach in 2026. So take a second to take a look at these key points that we want to focus on. And then if anyone has any initial thoughts, feel free to jump in. If not, I would love to start calling on people. So we'll give it a second. All right, let's see who of our community partners wants to start. Sarah, do you have any thoughts?
I don't at this moment.
Excellent. Do you feel that the information that we have been providing has been helpful, at least with the community that you've worked with?
Yeah, I think it's very helpful. Yeah, I'm just thinking. Yeah, so
Yeah, give it some thought. And if something comes up, please feel free to just raise your hand and let us know. Anyone else? Sandy, any thoughts on any areas that you feel that maybe we can improve, or anywhere else that we could be reaching some of the community? And again, especially keeping in mind in the lens of LEP voters.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the monolingual communities, especially seniors, they heavily rely on their like the social connections to get information. So they really rely on like WeChat groups and to their neighbors, to their friends to get information. And I know that a lot of the seniors in the community, they actually ask a friend to take them to the Department of Elections to register in person. So yeah, and I think that having like a lot of poll workers who are multilingual would really help on the day of the election. That would help serve a lot of the monolingual communities, and they could get more guidance and they can get the language access in terms of registering to vote.
That's great. Thank you for that. So are you feeling that, especially with the older community, that they still feel more comfortable doing it in person as opposed to the mail-in ballots?
Yeah, I know that like 2 years ago, was it that like in 2024, I know a lot of the seniors, they actually went we organized a group of seniors and they went to the Department of Elections to register in person. They feel more like sure that like, okay, I register for sure now because they get a sticker right away. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Great. Let's see. Tom, do you have any thoughts on any of the points that we have here? No? Okay, great. What about Anthony?
Yes, kind of seconding what Sandy mentioned about how it's very important for especially seniors to both to have like the resources in person and have folks that are bilingual to help them in person, but also in terms of how voters get their information about registration or any election to related. Usually it's through WeChat or through their friends or even through community partners like us. Sometimes we also host outreach events, or we'll also do tabling at various community street fairs. We also do outreach there, so I think that's usually how they get their information. And then as for how we can also improve like even more reach and conduct even more outreach so that folks know about NCV. I guess we could have more partnerships and like developing intentional workshops for communities, specific communities that may not be aware of NCV, especially for new immigrants who just came to the States. And then in terms of like trying to outreach to specific like parents specifically, I think the time of day would also be pretty important as to like when we're doing the outreach, because a lot of parents they're only available after 5 after they're off work or after they take their kids to school. So I think just keeping those things in mind and like trying to do specific targets of like the demographics is pretty important.
Oh, those are really, really great points. I think that we are more than happy to accommodate after hours as well, because we completely understand that parents are busy, whether they're working or what they're doing throughout the day, and then obviously with having to pick up kids after school, so their schedules are pretty booked up. So if we need to meet them at a different time that doesn't fit within a business schedule or time frame, we're more than happy. So if you guys have different opportunities that do present themselves after those hours, we can always work with different organizations to be able to accommodate that. So that is a great point, especially for NCV. Dora, do you have anything you'd like to add before we move on? All right, I'll take that as a no. So we'll move on to our next point. Any other questions before we move on to our second discussion?
Oh, I'm not sure if I can share something in the I can, right? Can I send photos in the chat?
Yeah, you should be able to.
I should be,
Norma?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
let's
just uh-huh. I
just
just
try
wanted
to
to
send
share.
something.
Okay, I'm going to try to send to see if it's sent through. Oh, it said failed to send. Yeah, I don't think I am able to send pictures in the chat.
Potentially that is because you're outside the organization that you're not able to send anything on the chat. But I can send my email address, and if you want, you can send that to me and I'll share it with everyone.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so recently because it's the Lunar New Year, right? We did some outreach with like Bai Chen on the front, and then in the back we have information to encourage folks to register to vote and tell them how to register to vote. Just wanted to share that. Yeah, I thought it
That's
would be
great.
easier if I share with you in the group chat, but I will email Norma. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Sandy. We really appreciate that. Anyone else? All right, let's move on to our next discussion. So The next one is we are looking to enhance voter registration with LAP communities. Obviously, that is still our main focus. And for the second discussion, we'd like to focus on how we can continue to improve awareness of and the use of translated election materials across our communities. As you know, we keep expanding the languages, so we want to make sure that people are aware of them and that how they're able to access them. So, you know, making them is one thing, but making sure that people know that they exist is a whole other thing. So that's where we want to make sure that we're eliminating those barriers and making people aware that they have access to this translated materials. So again, while we provide ballots, voter guides, signage, and other materials in multiple languages, we know the access alone is not enough. Voters also need to know that these resources exist and understand how to request them and feel comfortable using them. So our goal for this discussion is to hear directly from you on what is working, what we can improve, and where additional support may be needed. So what are we going to focus on is how do voters in your community typically learn about translated materials? Are mailers, community events, partner-led outreach reaching the right audiences? Are there opportunities to expand distribution through trusted community spaces? What tools, materials, or training would be helpful? And how can we strengthen collaboration moving forward? So with that, I'd like to open it up to your thoughts, any experiences or recommendations that you might have. So again, take a look at the key areas that we want to focus on. And again, you know, we have these really great resources. Let's make sure we're getting them to the right people and making sure that they're aware that they exist. You know, again, we want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to be able to access and be able to cast a vote during each election. And that is why we focus on providing as wide a range of materials in different languages as we can. But with that, again, what can we do? Where can we reach people? And how can we continue to collaborate with you guys moving forward? All right. Does anyone want to jump in with any suggestions? Sandy, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, I just emailed Norma
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we did some voter outreach event before the Lunar New Year. We hosted an event on February 1st, and we passed out some Faichen to all the families, and all the material is in Chinese. Yeah, it's mostly Chinese, and then we encourage them to vote and register to vote if they have not registered to vote. So it's just like the basic information. Since it's so small, you cannot have a lot of information. Yeah. So typically when you give out like Fichen to people, they won't throw it away, you know, versus if it's just like a flyer, they might like just throw it away. So that way they can always keep this with them throughout the year. And when they want to register to vote, they can always go to the back of this Fichen, and then they have information to find out how to register to vote. Yeah, we find
fantastic.
this pretty successful. Every time we do this, it's really popular. People will actually like want to take it with them.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, and I find the Department of Elections website really helpful. I got all the information from the website, and I encourage everyone else can go ahead and go use the website. It's really useful.
Well, we really appreciate that. We love hearing that. That is fantastic. You know, one of the things that I've realized with working with one of our other outreach coordinators here with Max, and we go to the Asian older senior citizens, and I got to say they're really well informed as far as elections. They seem very engaged, and it's just a matter of hoping that they understand that they have a lot of resources available to them as well. So we appreciate your hard work on making sure that they're aware of that. So thank you so much. Anthony, any thoughts on the materials? You know, we do have things, again, you know, we have voter guides where I think it's, you know, one of the best resources to understand what elections are coming up, and it basically, you know, provides a lot of different information how to prepare for that. we have posters, et cetera, mailers, but is there anything that you feel that maybe we need more of or can improve upon?
Yeah, not really on what can be improved, but I think a lot of the seniors, particularly in like the Chinatown community, it's pretty difficult for them to, I guess, read Chinese that are, I guess, more like complex. They sort of understand more of like the simple verbiage of, very complex languages, especially like, um, policies, voting, anything with election related. So a lot of times it really up for like community organizations like us to also kind of translate it so that it's much more simpler and easier to understand. And I guess just like having that, hosting those like kinds of workshops or like just being well informed is also pretty important for us so that we can ensure that these information are like you know translated and like essentially like easy for them to understand. Because if we just give them like these ballots or like give them like have them read like the posters, they might not understand it.
Do you think there's anything that we can do to help out with that, improve on that?
I'm not sure actually. I think I'm just making like a observation on like
Gotcha. Okay.
this is how
Thank
it is.
you. Yeah. Sarah, is there anything you'd like to add?
I think, yeah, so this is also, it's we've been experiencing like how to better helping the voters to understand the material, and the best is like having more workshops and bring people all together to get their question answered.
Absolutely. And again, one of the other things that we also work on for each election is presentations that we can help provide that to you. You can find them on our website. We can also have, one of our representatives, one of our coordinators go to your organizations and present that. So there's various different ways that we can share out information where you can have those conversations. I think you're right. I think a great way to be able to help better explain things is when we do have an opportunity to have these presentations and be able to have conversations with people in case they have questions. So, another great resources that you guys can have is those presentations that we do put together for each election.
Yeah, I agree with Anthony and Sarah that a lot of the times on the ballot, it's really hard to understand certain measures and proposition. That language is so complex. Sometimes they have the double negative, and you have to think again, like, should I support it or should I not support it? But I really find like Skylink TV, they had done some videos to go over some of the propositions, and they invite guests to go to their program to talk about the pros and cons of the propositions, and they try to stay neutral, which is what I like because it's really important to see things from different perspective and let the voters to decide which side they want to take. So I find those videos really helpful. Just want to share that.
Thank you, Sandy. Let's see, Tom or Dora, anything you'd like to add? No? Okay. All right. Any other questions, you guys, before we wrap it up for today? All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate the conversation. We really love your input and appreciate you sharing. So thank you again. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Natalia.
Yes, thank you, Adriana. And this brings us to the end of today's meeting. So once again, thank you all for finding time for this meeting, for your participation, for your great feedback, and most importantly, for this continued collaboration. We truly would not be able to reach as many voters that we're able to reach now through our outreach efforts without all of you. So again, we truly appreciate everything, and we look forward to working with all of you in this upcoming year in preparing our local voters for this important 2026 elections. So if you have any additional questions, suggestions, or need support in your outreach efforts, please feel free to contact us. And our contact information is displayed on the screen over there. Okay, thank you. And you can contact us by phone, via email, or just simply stop by our office, and we would be very glad to assist you. Also, thank you everyone for staying in touch with us via our community outreach newsletter that we issue every month. Um, we find it to be a very helpful resource in staying in touch with our communities. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions on what content you would like to see being featured in our upcoming newsletters, please feel free to share your feedback with us as well. So on the screen, can we go back to the previous? Yes. So on this screen, you see the schedule for our upcoming LAAC meetings that remain in this year, with our next meeting being scheduled for Thursday, May 7th, 2026. Of course, if that schedule changes, we'll update our website and we'll notify all of you about schedule changes. And thank you again. And we look forward to seeing you in a few months. Stay in touch. And thank you very much.
Thank
Bye,
you, everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Thank you.